So here's a fact that should change how you make every important decision for the rest of your life. The moment you are most likely to back out of a meaningful commitment is not when you first consider it. It's the middle. It's when things get hard. It's the 48 hours right before you start. Not because you've gathered new information, not because something has changed. It's because your brain has finally registered that this is real. And it is running a full identity protection sequence to pull you back, right, to baseline before you cross a threshold that you can't uncross. Researchers call this threshold resistance. I call it the point where the most important decisions get abandoned for the most reasonable sounding reasons.
Right.
The inner circle opens tomorrow. And the challenge opens in 7 days, which means right now, today, this episode is exactly the window for a lot of you listening. So before we do anything else, I want to give you the science behind what's happening in your head, because once you name it, it loses most of its power. That's today's episode.
You're listening to Too Late My Ass, the podcast that exists because someone had to say it out loud. I'm Fay Chappell, and this show is for anyone who's been quietly wondering if they missed their window. Spoiler, you didn't. Your brain is still neuroplastic, your identity is still negotiable, and your second act, it's not a consolation prize, it's the whole damn point. Let's get into it.
So welcome to Too Late My Ass. I'm Fay Chappell. This is Stacy Maynard, my co-founder and COO, and the woman who built the entire implementation architecture behind everything we're launching this week.
I think I got to go test some stuff. So if we make this one quick,
we'll try. Tomorrow, the inner circle opens. 7 days from now, the challenge starts. And today we're talking about all that neurological event that stops most people from getting to either.
And putting the COO under stress. That's the threshold problem.
The threshold problem, which is every single person listening to this has. They have it after and they've already experienced this week or what it's about, basically. So let me give you a little bit of the science first, because this is one of those things where understanding what's happening in your brain completely changes the power it has over you. So your brain runs this continuous risk assessment, right? Just like Stacy does on all our operations. It's always scanning. It's always, is the situation safe? Is it familiar? Is this even consistent with who I am and what I do? And the scanner is fast. And it's mostly unconscious and deeply biased towards what's familiar. So when you're contemplating a meaningful change, when you're contemplating joining something, committing to something, stepping into a version of yourself that's really different from the current one, the risk scanner kind of activates, right? Gives you that error, right? And here's the thing most people don't know. It activates hardest not when you first consider the change. It activates hardest right before you actually commit to it. And that's what researchers call that whole threshold resistance. The closer you get to an irreversible commitment, a point of no return, the more intensely the brain's system tries to pull you back, right? It's not irrational. From a survival standpoint, it makes complete sense, right? Change is risky. Unknown is risky. The brain prefers familiar discomfort that it already knows how to manage.
So basically, the feeling of maybe I should wait is actually a signal that you're close.
Right. That is true. Because the intensity of that pull to retreat is really proportional to the significance of the commitment, right? So if you feel nothing, you're probably not doing anything that matters. If you feel calm, reasonable case for waiting, right? That's your brain measuring the magnitude of the change. And it's responding accordingly. So that calm, that reasonable voice is not wisdom. It's that resistance dressed up basically in a suit. So,
the suit.
The suit.
Good looking suit.
Yeah, for sure. So here's what makes this kind of effective. Threshold resistance never shows up as I'm scared. If it did, you'd recognize it and push through. It shows up as logic. It shows up as responsibility, as a wisdom you suddenly have access to, right, when you need to. So these are the three the disguises, I like to call them, right? These, and I've seen all three. Number one, the timing isn't quite right.
Ah, yes. I love that one. That one's my favorite.
I have a lot going on this month. I'll do it properly when things settle down. That's the practical.
It's all of them.
All of them. And they sound responsible, right? But they're not. Things do not settle down. Timing is never neutral. The practical objection is really the brain that's generating that administrative cover for somebody to be able to retreat, right?
Yeah.
Then there's another one that says, I want to think about it a little more.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard that one too. Yeah.
I'm going to look at it further. Let me make sure I understand what's involved, right? And you've been thinking about it for weeks already. And then that sudden need for information is not due diligence. It's just delay. It's delay, right? And the other one is the most sophisticated one. This is the one that I love. I don't want to commit to something that I can't follow through on.
Oh my gosh, I literally have heard all of these.
I want to make sure that I'm ready before I start. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Or I'm doing this for myself, not against myself. So that really, it's a disguise, right? It sounds like self-awareness, but it's not. It's the brain using language of care to really execute, avoidance, basically.
Okay, that's a hard one. All three, I've heard all of those quotes and excuses I've heard. But you know what? I think the third one is the one I see most of the people who never start.
Yep.
Right? They've built such a compelling story as to why they're being responsible that they can't even see the retreat inside of it.
Yeah, and they've been telling themselves that same story for years, right? Which is why they're still telling it.
Yep.
So there's a technique from decision neuroscience that I want to give you today because it's genuinely useful, and I don't hear it talked about enough in reinvention spaces, and it's called pre-mortem. Love that. And it flips the brain's risk resistance really on its head. So normally when you're making a decision, we imagine the failure scenario, right? We think about what could go wrong, and that activates that retreat pull, right? Mm-hmm. The pre-mortem doesn't ask what could go wrong. It asks, it's 6 months from now and I didn't do this. Right. What does this look like? No, not in an abstract way, specifically. What are you still waiting for? What excuses are you still using? What does the version of you look like who retreated at that threshold again, right? So the brain responds much more powerfully to specific future regret than to abstract future regret. So when you make the I didn't do this scenario vivid and concrete, that risk calculation, it shifts. And suddenly the retreat option doesn't look so safe. It looks like more of the same.
So it's basically asking your brain to do the risk assessment on the safe option instead of the scary one.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because the safe option has a cost to it. We just never account for it, right? Try it now. It's 6 months from today. You did not do the challenge. You did not join the inner circle. What are you still stuck on? What's the thing that still hasn't changed? I want you to be very, very specific and make it real. Now compare that version of you who did the 21 days, who showed up for the masterclasses, who walked out of that implementation lab with the thing on her list finally done. Which version has a higher cost?
All right. Can I just add something practical?
Of course. Please do.
So, watched a lot of launches in our day, right? Mm-hmm. And running a lot of the back end on this one.
Yeah.
The highest dropout window is not during the thing.
No,
it's not. Everyone does the 21 days and other challenges and stuff that we run. But it's the 48 hours before the commitment point.
Yeah.
People register for the challenge with 2 weeks to go, let's just say, right? They are more likely to show up on day one than people who registered 48 hours before. Interesting. It's because the closer you get to the start, the brain ramps up, right? That retreat pull you just talked about, right? And they want to kind of run. So the inner circle opens tomorrow. The challenge opens in 7 days. Right now, today is exactly that window. So if you're listening, you're watching, whatever the case may be, and a very calm, the very reasonable part of you is suggesting that, you're thinking about it a little bit more. That's the data. That's the threshold resistance telling you that you're close to something that matters.
Right. Walk towards it. Walk towards a thing that's pulling at you, not because discomfort is always good. It isn't, right? But because in this specific case, the pull to retreat is proportional to the significance of the commitment. So, and a meaningful second act is significant, right? It is significant.
Okay, hang on. All right. Can I just do one thing? Can we do the one thing that we never do on the main show? Just want you to say what you're nervous about. I think we kind of hold back a little bit on the main show and we talk about the truth, but let's just go for Desta.
You first. You asked.
I love it when I did that. Okay. I'm nervous about the implementation lab, right? I'm nervous that it won't land the way I've built it in my head. I know what it's supposed to feel like, but I don't know yet if I got it right. But I can't know that until it runs.
Yeah, that's the exact kind of builder's version of the threshold retreat, right? You've built something carefully, and now you have to find out if it works.
I've tested and tested and tested, but okay, what's yours?
Mine is that people join for 1 month, feel great about it, and then they leave, convinced that they got what they needed, when really neuroscience says clearly that 1 month of anything isn't the repetition that creates lasting change. So I can't really make someone stay long enough to feel that compounding effect, right? But I can only build the value and hope they give it enough time to actually see how things change.
Yeah, absolutely. So flip side, what are you most looking forward to, or what are you the proudest of that we've built?
I think probably the architecture, the challenge, and the inner circle are genuinely sequential, right? Not two things being sold at once. You do the challenge, you get proof of change, you bring evidence into the inner circle instead of hope, right? Mm-hmm. So the sequencing, what we've done is intentional, and I think that's really right. What about you?
Mine's the workshops. I'm really looking forward to those. No one else is kind of doing this, right? The actual scripts, the actual conversations that keep pulling the 50 plus person back to who they used to be. That gap is real. And you know what? I think I'm glad that we're filling it.
Yeah, me too. So I guess the last thing before we go, if you're in that 48-hour window right now, if part of you has been making a very reasonable case for waiting, I want you to run that pre-mortem, right? 6 months from today. You didn't do it. What does that look like? Make it specific, make it real, and then decide, right? Because the inner circle opens tomorrow, and it's at toolatemayass.com/inner circle. It's $49 a month. That's a founding rate. It will change and go up. The challenge opens April 6th. The links are all here, and that is absolutely free. So I don't know why your brain's telling you not to do it. We do have a Sunday ritual. This week is about the pre-challenge embodiment practice. So who you'll be on day 21, which is kind of cool. So meet us on Sunday so you can find out that as well. We built both of these for really the person who is done being almost ready. And we really hope that's you. So we look forward to seeing you in the inner circle or in the challenge. Can't wait to see you next week.
And that's a wrap on this one. If something landed for you today, sit with it. That's your nervous system updating its software. Let it run. And if you want to get deeper, the Long Game is our daily ritual app. 15 minutes a day built around the move, mind, and meaning framework. It's the daily practice behind everything we talk about on this show. And you can find it at tlmalonggame.com. And if you're ready to be in the room, the inner circle is where we do the real work. Monthly masterclasses, identity challenges, and a community of people who are done playing small. Join us at toolatemayass.com/inner circle. Until next week, stay rebellious. I'll see you then.